The next game comes from Vaikense in 1985 between two very heavy hitters who were probably nearing the peak of their career back then. Playing white in this game is Jan Timman from Holland, and playing black in this game is Alexander Beliavsky. We should not sniff at studying old games, particularly between excellent players, because, well, the quality of the game is very high, and we can learn from games at this level. Now, the opening is a strict Torre attack. Black has played the classical defensive system. In general, Beliavsky liked classical openings for black. He really enjoys playing the Tartakova variation of the Queen's Gambit, and in general, he likes the solidity of the black setup. My own view is that White's Torre attack works very well against this particular setup, and White has numerous ways to get very good play. Here we see the typical Torre attack layout, certainly of the minor pieces, and now it remains to see how White is going to develop an attack. Usually White's idea in this position is to continue with the idea of knight e5 and then f4, after which we've already seen examples of the kingside attack. So it's interesting to see in this game that Beliavsky offers the exchange of dark square bishops by playing knight d7. Now White could play bishop f4 in this position, but in this game Timman decided to take. I think he is electing basically when he takes for nothing other than a very small edge, but again it's one of those very clear advantages where black has problems developing his queenside pieces to reasonable squares, and White has no such difficulty. Well, it's pretty clear. With rook e1, White is intending to go e4 at some moment, and then the queen is on the wrong square. So Beliavsky has no time in this position for b6 and bishop b7. Thus he plays queen to f6. And now White goes bishop to b5, perhaps trying to secure more control over e5. Queen to d8. Beliavsky can't seem to make up his mind what he wants to do. And now White plays perhaps a slightly peculiar looking move, rook to c1. But black has wasted so much time with his queen in this position that I think White makes a move which gives him more options. I mean, we can't say that rook c1 plans anything in particular, but I think Timman just wants to give himself the option of either playing c4 or e4 according to what black is doing. So rook c1 is a flexible move. White commits to nothing. It's just a general slight improvement of the position. It's this technique of when you can't see exactly how to play against the enemy position, you just make a move which microscopically improves your position. So with rook c1, White may be preparing c4. We don't quite know yet. At any rate, Beliavsky answers by bringing his queen out to b6. So yet another move with the black queen, and White decides to chop off the knight on c6. B takes c6. Alright, the position's clarified. Black is hitting b2. So White defends with queen c2. And now black plays a5. Alright, nothing special you may think for White. But I still feel that black has problems with his queenside pieces in this position. Really what we would like to see from White is somehow opening up the game and using the position of his rooks. Well, Timman goes on to the offensive with knight g5. That threatens mate on h7. So black blocks with g6. White takes on c5. Queen takes c5. And now e4. So this is how Timman has elected to open up the game. He couldn't dilly-dally anymore. He's got to open up the game before black gets his pieces active. Beliavsky strives to get the bishop active with bishop a6, but could it be that this bishop is shooting into thin air? Sometimes, a bishop looks very impressive. It might patrol a very long diagonal, for instance. But if White doesn't intend to put any pieces on this diagonal, then what exactly is the bishop doing? It just looks impressive. e5. Timman is really thinking about a kingside attack now. He's eyeing up those weak dark squares around the black king. He would love to be able to get his queen on h4. Well, one plan which enables him to do that might be knight f3, queen d2, queen f4, and then queen h4. This is what I think he would like to do, if he can. So, black plays queen e7, knight gf3, and now f6. And here, Timon plays c4. So, suddenly it's all making a lot more sense. The rook on c1 is coming into the game. White has managed to activate both his rooks. You see, in general, you don't put a rook behind a pawn. You don't want to push. A move like rook c1 indicates that at some stage, White wants to play c4. In fact, he's got to play c4. Or that rook c1 move is going to turn out to be a complete waste of time. So here we see rook c4, and now Timon's hoping to take advantage of his more active major pieces against the black central pawns. Rook a c8. Queen comes to c3, hitting a5, and black plays queen b4 to defend. White takes on f6, opening up fire against e6. Rook takes f6, and now the knight comes into e5. So White would very much like to fix these pawns on light squares, which tends to make the black bishop rather bad. Knight takes e5. Sorry, excuse me. Queen takes c3 first. Beg your pardon. Rook takes c3. Knight takes e5. Rook takes e5. Very instructive play by White. Note all his pieces are on dark squares, out of range of the black bishop. Rook b8. Threat is easily defended with b3. But black tries to undermine the pawn chain by going a4. A good move, I think, getting rid of any potential weakness. And White just plays f3 in this position. More to let his king out than anything else. Black takes on b3. White recaptures with the pawn. Solid. Black brings his king up. And now White's rook drops back to e1. Probably with the intention of going rook a1. After rook e1 came bishop to c8. And now White took on d5. So all the way through this game, White is maintaining a slight advantage. f4. Perhaps a slightly surprising move. It looks as though this pawn is on pre, but the point of f4 is that after rook takes f4, White goes rook takes c6. And in this position, the white rooks are far more active than the black rooks, and well, the white knight is threatening to come into the game rather aggressively from f3, threatening either knight g5 check or knight e5 check. It could well be the black king can get into hot water if that variation is allowed. So black defends with rook b6, and now the f pawn is legitimately on pre, so Timon just plays g3 to shut the attack down. Alright, rook e6. Rook e to c1. King e7. Knight f3. Bishop d7. And now knight e5. Demonstrating conclusively that in terms of minor pieces, White's knight is far superior to Black's very poor bishop. g5. Good move, I think. Knight takes g5. Sorry, knight takes d7. King takes d7. And now f takes g5. And the point of Beliavsky's idea with g5 was to be able to play rook e2 in this position. Well, White plays rook f3. And now comes rook a6 with the idea of rook a2. Rook comes to f7 check. King goes to e6. And White joins up the dots by playing rook c to f1. d4 gives the king a square. Note that rook a2 is answered by rook f6 check, king e5, rook e7 check. King d4, rook takes e2, rook takes e2, and now rook takes c6. So, black goes d4, rook takes h7, rook a to a2, g6, rook g2 check, king h1, and now in this position, black resigned. Why does he resign? Well, actually, the rook on h7 is in perfect position, stopping his pawn from stopping black from taking on h2, and now the g pawn is ready to advance. So, another Torre game at the highest level. Did black ever have any meaningful counterplay in that game? I think not. So, slightly different approach by Timon there. No real attack, just positional pressure all the way through. And the move rook e1 and rook c1 were, for me, the most instructive part of that game. To see how Timon actually got those rooks into the game as the middle game wore on.